Hello. Welcome along to another podcast. So today we are talking about how nothing drives bookings like impeccable design. And we've got a very special guest who's going to be talking why that's important and how you can be mostly booked. And I love that term. That's both the name of this person's business, but also we love saying that. Yeah, we're mostly booked. That's just a great saying for us STR owners. So if this is your first time here, you're listening to the podcast that helps give hosts the tools, the tactics, the trainings, and most importantly, the confidence so you can go out there and get more direct bookings. My name's Liam Carolan, and this is the mini series on the Boostly podcast, which looks at businesses, people who you as a short-term rental operator should know about within the industry. So today I'm joined by Stephen Eagles. And as I say, his company is called Mostly Booked. You can go and check them out at mostlybooked.co. And I'm just excited. I've been following Stephen for a couple of weeks since we arranged this, and he's very he can polarize a room with some of the opinions, which is fantastic. So I'm excited about this. So Stephen, welcome along, and thank you for joining us today.
Hey Liam, thank you so much for inviting me. That is true. My content can be a little bit polarizing at times, but I do feel like it's on point and some things need to be said. There's a lot of I think what I find is there's a lot of hosts out there who are in different places. There's like the host in these Facebook groups who's just got the one listing and it's their baby, and they will do it in a certain way, and that's very different to how like a medium to large sized operator would operate. So therefore, when I come in with some cold truths, they're always there to shoot me down, say that's not right, but a lot of my advice is for this, I would say, people with several listings and above.
Can you introduce yourself and your business, Mostly Booked?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Stephen from Mostly Booked, and I help hosts essentially cut through the noise, beat market saturation, that big keyword that everybody is sort of afraid of. I'm a seasoned property manager. We're now an agency that serves hosts to help them stand out from the crowd and achieve a calendar that for most of the time is mostly booked. That's the aim of the game.
I like it. How did the name come about?
I was trying to hit the nail on the head with what is the desired outcome that my avatar would like, something similar to how maybe a host can think about their guest avatar. I think about my customer avatar, what's important to me, because I've been a host myself for many years, sort of growing and scaling other people's portfolios. I've obviously understood that's the most important thing. It's the thing that we always want. But also it's not too, you'll see a lot of maybe coaches and consultants out there promising I can achieve you £100,000 in 3 days, So I thought Mostly Booked is a little bit understated. It's the result that we all really would want. If we could be mostly booked most of the time, then that would make us all very happy, I'm sure.
Talk us through who it is you help mostly. You mentioned your avatar, and how it is you best help them.
So I would say, sadly, a lot of it comes down to almost accountability. I put a lot of time into my content and trying to put the best content out there and coming up with like the latest cutting edge tactics and tools and strategies, which are all great as sort of individual strategies. But I think I found that most hosts just simply, they don't have the time for whatever reason to implement a lot of these strategies. They don't have the time to focus on the growth related tasks because they're busy checking guests in, and maybe you could consider scaling a growth specific task, which touches on another problem of hosts sort of scaling on a bad model to outrun poor performance. So I guess in a nutshell, what you could say that I mostly do is the tasks that I feel that the host should be doing, but they're not necessarily getting the time to do. So just quickly, I originally started with along the coaching sort of model, which is me preaching to the world, which I'm very good at doing, of here's what I think you should do, and here's how you should optimize your listing and your pricing strategy, etc. Which is all well and good, and people love to consume that information. But I found that it wasn't necessarily moving any of my clients further down the line. They were paying me because they wanted that problem solved. But then when I'm trying to keep them accountable to, hey, have you actually gone and done that work? There's there's always a million different things going on in their lives that stop them from moving forward. So now I've sort of switched to more of an agency model, which is what I thought, I guess hosts, if they could pay to get the result done versus me telling them what to do, that would be a win-win for us all, because I love to take satisfaction in working with hosts' listings, seeing them get better, increase performance. It's great for them and great for me. So in a nutshell, it's like outsourcing your growth specific tasks to an agency from someone that's been there and done it and knows the industry inside out. It's like a safe pair of expert hands is essentially what I'm offering hosts,
Just tell us more about your history. You mentioned portfolios and bits and pieces. How did you get into being a coach and agency for Mostly Booked? What did you do before this?
Cool. Well, I won't bore people too much because this is always the part of the interview that they're like, yeah, we get it. A lot of people have a similar story.
That's why I leave the good questions till after it. But people genuinely are interested in it's the human connection, isn't it?
Got it. Okay, maybe that's a British thing. We think no one's interested in our story, something like that. But I started as a property manager for a friend who had 5 Airbnbs in Liverpool in the UK. He asked me to come on board. This is when I was completely fresh in the industry. We grew that to over 50 listings. Wow. I then went on to work and manage properties for a much bigger operation, which was more like 150 plus listings in Liverpool. So I was sort of seeing how we made a lot of mistakes, by the way, in that first business. Which is why now I feel like I can preach so comfortably, because it's like I've made all them mistakes and I'm trying to help you avoid them. And then I went on to work for a sort of bigger operator and seeing a more sort of professional setup in terms of the logistics of things. But even still in both businesses, I sort of came to the understanding. I was fascinated with why is it that some listings are doing really well and others aren't. And then I was sort of creating, you will see all these things like you must have great professional photos. And it's like, well, guess what? I've just gone onto page 1 of Airbnb, found a listing in my area. All of the photos are taken with an iPhone. Why is that listing crushing it? And so I essentially got the freedom and the time to really focus on what makes a great listing, which as a manager, I simply didn't have the time. I'm too busy trying to maintain the business, working in the business and not on the business, which I'm sure a lot of hosts can relate to. So it's not that I'm any more intellectual than anybody else with my sort of service, but just the fact that I've been blessed with the time to really focus on what works and sort of what doesn't. So all that to say, I went from property manager to, like I say, I started going into the coaching model, but found wasn't really getting the results. And I'm sick of seeing all these coaches online who are promising the earth and delivering an atlas. And so decided to go more. I was doing more sort of freelance work, which is then helping hosts with the pricing strategy, listing optimization, various things. And now I've transformed into the agency done for you model, which is Mostly Booked, which is working with clients, depending on some of them are at different stages in their journey. Some people come to me and they're just like, hey, I just need to know what I need to do from a listing optimization point of view or a pricing strategy point of view. Those things are very much easier in terms of less of a nightmare because they don't require physical changes to the listing. But then the projects I really love are hosts that come to me and they're like, okay, let's do the market research. Work with me on the concept, work with me on the listing optimization, every single aspect of it, because then I can create something really special. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of at.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Bruce Lee podcast. Bruce Lee like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.